I spent this morning going on an MLK memorial walk at my daughter's school. And it was so powerful for me to see all these young people holding up all these signs with MLK Jr.'s quotes. And the way that like his words still resound with them today is just incredible. And then I went on Twitter and Instagram, and I noticed that everybody had like a ton of MLK quotes as well. And then I started realizing, like, man, a lot of this dude's legacy has been attached to these quotes that he said. And those quotes oftentimes get reimagined, repositioned to meet the needs of a bunch of different people. So, the FBI could have an MLK quote, even though they were against him. Or, you have a system that ostracized him while he was around, like the political system, who would use him to celebrate their own agendas today, with a statue in Washington. And so beyond the quotes, man, Martin Luther King Jr. is like such a hero to me. Him and Malcolm X, I think, are my biggest inspirations. And so I wanted to just share with folks like 10 things from and about MLK that go beyond the words that I think we should be teaching the next generation, beyond just like memorizing I have a dream. And for me, number one is that he underwent severe personal attacks and did not falter. I mean, folks lied on him. Folks said he was not Christian. Folks said that he was not woke enough. Folks said he was not radical enough. People would just say horrific things about this man in his day, and he was not concerned or consumed by what folks said about who he was. He just continued on with his work anyway. And so that's like number one thing that inspires me about MLK. Two, he always surrounded himself with people who were smarter than him. And so MLK had a crew, you know what I mean? Like, and everybody in his camp were folks who could very well have been, leading the same kind of initiatives that he was. You know what I mean? Like, the Jesse Jacksons of the day or whatever. Like, them cats could have been him. But he chose to always surround himself with people who could do what he did or were better than him so that he can remain sharp, so he can remain on point. And a lot of folks have their ego so driven that they don't want to be around folks who can challenge them to be better. So number two is like he always surrounded himself with people who are better than him. Now, the third thing is really powerful, right? Even though he was, Dr. Martin Luther King, he never allowed his position to make him lose his ability to have a common touch. So he was this big preacher. He was well known and respected in many different spaces. But at the same time, he could engage with the bus drivers who are boycotting. Like he did not allow his position to make him lose the common touch. And that's crazy. Four, which is really ill, is that, they were tremendous personal mistakes that MLK made. You know what I mean? Like the FBI, Google this. Right? Like they try to set this dude up mad times. He did a bunch of things in his personal life that were problematic. But even though he made those personal mistakes, he did not allow himself to hide behind his mistakes and not pursue his work. Like, I've done what I've done. I will address those things, but I will not stop doing what I've been called to do because of those mistakes. And I think like the power and fervor to do that is crazy. They both redefined themselves, MLK and Malcolm X, consistently. Like MLK went from social integration as the ultimate ideal to economic integration, to political integration. So like there wasn't a idea that I'm going to follow the same narrative my whole entire life, that I could hold on to my truths, but still evolve with time without losing my core self. But that I had the latitude to be able to reinvent myself. And that's such a powerful thing because people oftentimes get stuck in one identity and don't want to move beyond that. I don't even know what number I'm at right now, but they both wrote as much as they spoke as much as they wrote, but were not just defined by their quotes. You know what I mean? Like, so like I am going to speak and I am going to write, but I am going to embody what I say and write. And so that like the character is not lost in just the words and didn't just say, oh, words are to be written, but like your voice is just as powerful as the pen, and you use both and live both what you say and what you write. What was so ill. The next, they both loved their families. Both were what you would describe as family men, right? Like they both had amazing sisters that held them down. They both loved to spend time with their children. And even though time did not allow them to be able to be as present as always. The images of them and their families, the significant role that their families had in shaping who they were as a public person is something that we can all hold on to. Like you like nobody loses, the family's all messed up. You know what I'm saying? Like, so their ability to hold intact the family structure is so powerful. Next, they both traveled for perspective, right? They went all across the country. They went around the world, and they gained perspective on what the experience was in the United States by their ability to go to different places. And so if you can't travel, you're locked into a very small vision of your everyday. And so like they both used their world travels or their national travels to be able to inform who they were and what they were able to do. Number 9, they were both amazing storytellers. Oh, that's number 8. They were both amazing storytellers. Like the ability to be able to construct a narrative, to pull somebody as if they were in the story with you, is such an amazing skill set I think is lost in this day and time. Number 9, they both taught, whether it was from the church or in the pulpit or from a mosque. These were folks who were not revolutionaries because they just spoke on social media. These were revolutionaries because they taught people. They sat and stood with crowds and gave of their heart and soul through the art and craft of teaching. I always make the argument that you cannot be a revolutionary if you have not taught. And then finally, you know what I mean? Like, in the words of Biggie, like, should have been number 1 to me. Like, they both dress well. You tell me when you seen an MLK picture or Malcolm X picture and it wasn't clean. And I think that folks oftentimes misconstrue, wokeness with not having to be concerned about the aesthetics and the presentation of self. And I make the argument that what you wear, how you dress, oftentimes dictates where your soul is at. Like, when you dress clean, your soul clean. You know what I mean? So those are 10 things about MLK that oftentimes get lost. And that I think I would take these 7-8 minutes and share with y'all. Hope to build about it soon. Peace.